The intent of this dashboard is to give an overview and comparison of expenditures across a given spend category at a given period. Furthermore, the intent is to give a detailed report on an individual vendor spending at a given period and a breakdown of all expenditures. Target audience. For this specific dashboard, the target audience is the active vendors. They have the same spending categories, namely wages, licenses, etc. Target audience wishes to see the monthly expenditure comparison from 2019 to 2020 when we select for all active vendors. The target audience desires to be knowledgeable of the increase or decrease of the expenditure of spend categories of all active vendors as well as their spending. All the vendors are in the same state. In our case, New York. Visual encoding. As seen on the dashboard, there are three types of markers, namely bar, circle, and line. The font used for this dashboard is Trebuchet MS. The icons used are $, hand user, and then we have the plus user. All of this shown on this dashboard. The bar and the line chart are arranged aligned with a common scale to represent the value attribute, while the key attribute is in the horizontal position. The colors used are red, black, orange, green, and a few hues of grays. Luminance contrast principle is applying for this dashboard, where there is a difference in the light reflective properties of the background color, the font color, and the color used in the elements. This is employed to help the ease of reading for those who are visually impaired. To manipulate what information we can see in the dashboard, we have filtering, navigating, and selecting features. We don't have a facet feature, but we reduce clutter by embedding a graph for this worksheet. And now the Gestalt principle for this dashboard. The Gestalt principle is a set of rules on how the brain works in psychology and how our audience may see this specific dashboard. We have our total spend, and that total spend, the spend per vendor, active vendor, and new vendor, they are all part of the connection rule of Gestalt. Then we have total spend, the bar from the bar chart, that's enclosure. Vendor location is part of the proximity. Then we have spent by category, spent by vendor. They are both enclosure. The flow of the dashboard, the interactivity. To get us the data we want, we start filtering the data using the sort feature. This allows us to show the specific data that is pivotal to our target audience, active vendors. Selecting the month in the sort feature starting from January. In our case, December is not included for this specific analysis due to the absence of data of December 2020, as you can see here. So we will select January. Select spending categories. It will be wages, licenses, byproducts, and so on. Selecting the location of the vendor, New York City, in our case. As for the spend by category and spend by vendor chart, it will only display the corresponding month selected on the filter. If we want to dive into a specific vendor, we would simply click the name on the worksheet and it will lead to a different dashboard that is specific for that vendor. The objective of this dashboard is to present information. Since the target is known, what is left is to locate information that is needed and finally identify information. The static dataset of this dashboard could be items, attributes, and positions, which is best presented as a raw data on tables, geometry, or fields, as what Tamara Monsner explains. The amount of interactivity in the dashboard is quite large and complex. The dashboard does offer quite a lot, but because of this, it's quite difficult to find the information and the details the audience needs due to the dashboard's complexity. These worksheets are arranged in a linear way where we can see the rows of each level of worksheets. It is also arranged in a way where line and bar graphs are sorted to be in one layer or even two, making it easier for the eyes of the audience. The dashboard is designed using Tableau, making the interaction approach top-down. As seen in the dashboard, the data displayed started from a more general data going down to a more specific data. The executive dashboard has several filters. We have one for the period, the month and the year, the category, the vendors. We have the option to enable or disable the legends. We then have the show div that displays the comparison of the two periods with regards to the spend by category and spend by vendor. The dashboard contains tooltips nearly everywhere on the map, on the line graph, circle. You will get additional information such as the comparison div in percentage, the total spend, the year, March 2020, active vendors, 84, and then the month evolution. The annotations are very useful, such as the title, the legends, and tooltips. The annotations are beneficial in letting the audience know where they can find specific information they need and make the navigation of our dashboard easier. The filter in the right corner is extremely useful in sorting out the period and spend category for the target audience. The option to choose the vendor location allows the vendor to change the state where their business is located. The vendors have a working state in spent by vendor. The tooltips are handy in providing absolute value to the target audience. The selectors are useful in giving the target audience the percentage difference, whether it has increased or decreased, the overall spend by category and spend by vendor. Improvements. When you click Show %div on the horizontal bar chart, we see tooltips with the same exact information shown already on the bar chart. Repetition of the information might cause distraction or confusion from our target audience. The number of views should be limited as well. The dashboard contains too much information that might distract our target audience. The new vendor dashboard counter does not reflect new vendor for the specific month and year. The dashboard is not colorblind friendly. Red and green color should generally be avoided. There are occasions, of course, where such color can be useful, and this is where in the horizontal bottom bar chart, the selector, Show %div, the negative color scheme can be confused into what we normally perceive and associate due to the trichometric theory. As what Netflix said, green donates growth while red donates loss. What it's seen here is the opposite. It would be handy to see directly the increase and decrease throughout the years of total spend, spend per vendor, active vendors. The plus sign to navigate in the vertical bar chart is not visible unless we hover the pointer. Best to have a fixed plus sign to show to our audience there is more on the total spend chart. As per Netflix, the gray color as background shows a better contrast. It is better to change the background color from black to gray and change the color of the charts from red to blue to be more colorblind friendly. The spend by vendor and category only display the top 8 of the key attributes. The categories and vendors that do not make the top 8 might be overlooked. A navigation arrow showing the rest of the key attributes would be helpful and beneficial.